Hi, Michelle. How are you today?
Hi, how are you?
Good. So, last time we met, we talked about continuing writing out your Post-its to try and manage your stress and work on organization and working on finding the positive to the negatives.
Yes.
So, how has that gone for you this week?
Pretty good as far as, not stressing about things that need to be done. Pretty good.
Good. Okay. So, do you think that you'll want to continue with that, or do you think that you're doing pretty much okay?
Yeah, it's helped a lot with me, like when I told you all the stuff going with the house, like writing the stuff down, like call whoever. And then I'm not dwelling on it all night. It's on the sticky. I can leave it there. I know that in the morning I'm going to grab my pens for work, my keys, and it's going to be there as a reminder. So I feel like once I write it, then I don't have to dwell on it.
Good.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you say your sleep is now? Like, are you getting enough sleep, do you feel now, or?
It depends on the night.
Okay. Do you want to elaborate more on that?
I mean, it's just, like I said, it's just one thing after another at the house. So last night something was wrong with my stove. Smelled gas, had to cut it off. Now the igniter's gone on my stove, so, So last night I didn't sleep well, because I was thinking, oh God, what's wrong next? So, it just depends on the night. Sometimes it's easier to just say, yeah, it is what it is, and then sometimes it's not. You know what I mean?
So, but you feel you're managing well at this point?
I'm getting by.
Okay. We'll come back to
I'm getting by, meaning it's not all up in here, and I'm not necessarily dwelling on stuff as much as I would be.
Okay.
Okay.
That's good. That's good. Okay, so what do you want to talk about today in our last session? Is there anything that you want to speak of that maybe we kind of skipped over, or any concerns that you want to try and work out?
I know we touched a little bit on my kids earlier, or in our last session. So that's I guess, I don't want to say a tough area, but it's just, I got to go with the flow until, and then I have to deal with issues, my daughter dating, and stuff like that. I still continue to have the talks, but that I don't know. I don't want to say that weight of is she going to make the right decision is there, because it's not necessarily a weight, because I feel like I can, like I said before, I can guide you, but at some point you have to make right decisions. But it's still something that's always in the back of your mind. I think with any parent, and all I can do is continue to talk and continue to, as they say, preach. But it is definitely always there, always.
Do you think that your method of approach with her is effective?
I don't know. Like they don't come with instructions. So I have to do what I think is best for us. And I think that being honest and having those lines of communications is the best way. I mean, I feel like you can't just slam the hammer and go, this is the way it's going to be. That's just my way of parenting. Being very open and honest. Is it the right way? I don't know, because she shuts down at times because I tend to say what I have to say, and then maybe I don't like the response, like she won't, communication to me is both ways. And there are times when I feel like she just isn't saying enough, whether it's I'm sorry, or whether it's I understand, I know where you're coming from, I might not get, just say something so I know you got at least half what I listened to, and then it'll escalate, and the next thing I know I'm yelling. So there are times, and I've learned, and she's told me that when I do that, and I'm speaking on events that happened last year, and when I do that, she told me that she's like, I automatically shut down when you do that. So moving forward, I've tried to say what I have to say. If she doesn't say anything, I just leave it alone, and I maybe revisit it in a couple days. I may or may not get a response because she's not just like me. You know what I mean? And I'm learning that, and I'm definitely taking in what she says. Do I still screw up and do that sometimes? Absolutely, because I'm not perfect, and I tell her that. Right. We're going to have our ups and downs, and, but I always try to instill in her, like, I'm always going to be here for you. So speaking of that, so this does make me feel good. Because, as a parent, you question everything, and being a single parent, it's even harder because, you and the co-parent may not be on the same page with everything, right. And we're not. But I said, we were talking one day because we just have random conversations, and I said, God forbid if something were to happen to mommy, what are the positive things that you feel, what am I trying to say, that you feel that I have, or that you would, if someone said, what about your mom, and she said that, you always try to, like, make someone smile, you're caring, you're there for others, which sometimes I question if I am, because I feel like I'm a shitty friend sometimes. But she said, I know you always have my back no matter what I do, and you always support me. So that made me feel really good. Wow. Like, we had a moment in the car, and I was like, okay, stop, you're going to make me cry. So, times like that when, we're getting along great, and we have those conversations, it's nice to know that I'm not the bad guy, because I feel like I'm the bad guy. They live with me, I set the ground rules, I set, they get the blunt of me, and I get the blunt of them, so it was nice to hear that. But, is my approach right all the time? No, and I know it's not. And I tell her that, we're going to butt heads, and I'm not perfect, and I'm doing the best I can do, and we're doing the best we can do, right. Right. So, I know other parents parent different than I do, but it works for us, I think, most of the time. So I'm just going to continue to do that, and then work on what I know makes her shut down. You know what I mean? Right. And same with my son too. My son says I tend to, drag it on, and
Right. That's what I was going to ask you. So, of course, everybody makes mistakes, as you know. So, when you bring up, like, past mistakes or whatever that your daughter or your son may have done, what is the point of doing that?
I don't know. I don't know if it's just release for me. If it is, that's totally wrong. But, okay, example. My son's going to be 22, and on 2 occasions I've come home and the alarm hasn't been set. No big deal. But the door hasn't been locked. Huge deal. And then, when we rented a place, that was a big issue. Like, I woke up several times and the house was unlocked. To me, that's pretty big. Right. We didn't live in a great neighborhood before, and, it's like, I tell you 3 times. By the 4th time, I'm like, CJ, you understand? Like, someone can rob us, someone can, I take it to the extreme. Like, they could have killed me and your sister, they could have raped us. And I know I take it to the extreme, but I feel like maybe he'll get it then. I don't know. Is that the right way to do it? No, but I don't know what else I can do except put that fear in him. Like, oh God, maybe someone could have came in and killed him. You know what I mean? So, is that right? I don't know. There are times with with my son too. I don't know what else I can do other than put the fear of God in him that the worst can happen.
Is instilling fear or having a fearful approach when speaking to them, is that the way they communicate? Or is that the way that they would be able to comprehend the severity of the situation?
I don't think so, because I feel like, you know, when I sit back and think about it, I'm like, I'm going to make them anxious. I don't want them to have anxiety issues like me, and I'm going to make them anxious. And I don't want that. I don't want my kids to worry about every little thing. I get it as a, you know, you're going to. I don't want them to be free-nilly in it either. Right. You know what I mean? But it's tough. I don't know what other approach to take with that. You know, I don't know. You know, with trash and stuff like that, like the trash will just overflow and overflow and overflow, and it could be sky high, and he's still gonna put another. Excuse me, let me put that milk carton on there and see if it falls over. Stuff like that, it's not a huge deal, so I'll joke about it. Like, hey, you just gonna wait until all the trash falls on the floor? Or, you know, but when it comes to stuff like the locks on the door, like, I do want them to take that serious. I do want him to know what could happen, but I also don't want my kids to play the what if game when they get older.
Right.
If I do this, what if, and think automatically the worst. So you know, there's just things I struggle with as a parent.
Aside from the fearful approach, can you think of another way, specifically with your son, can you think of another way that you could have approached him in regards to not locking the house?
Yeah, I could ground him. That's what I could do.
Is that realistic?
Yes, he has been grounded at 20.
Okay. So what would that teach him, though, by grounding him?
You know, as far as the locks on the door, yeah, and I'm just using that as one example. I don't know. I really don't know what other approach I could use for something like that, where, you know, it kind of is a big deal, you know? I don't know. Because that's when I come home, I automatically think the worst. Like, oh my God, what if someone was in here when I came home? Or, you know, what if, you know, he forgets to lock the door at night, and I wake up in the morning and I go to let the dog out. The door hasn't been locked all night. I'm like, oh my God, what if? You know, I play that what if game a lot with myself, and I don't want them to be like that. But at the same time, I want them to know the importance of certain things and what consequences there could be.
So have you considered, maybe, and this thought just popped in my mind, I don't know if it's the healthiest approach, but when he doesn't lock the door, maybe something of value could disappear.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Because sometimes we, even adults or children, don't get the message,
right,
unless it
and
affects them directly.
Not going to happen to me. Oh, it's not going to happen to me.
Right.
I'm not one of those people that think, oh, it's not going to happen to me.
Right.
I don't sit around and go, oh, that's my life, it's going to happen to me. Right. But I'm also like, it could happen to anyone.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's a great idea.
Just a thought.
And then the first thing he'll do is be like, Mom, I know you hid my laptop. Where is it? And I'm like, no, I didn't. They just knew where the good stuff was. That's a great idea. Or just ransack his room. That's even better. Now, I could see me doing that, seriously.
Seriously? Like,
oh, I can seriously see me doing that. Like, just ransack his room.
Right there, because that's reality. Yeah. They could go in and just go through everything.
Yeah.
So, that's just thought.
That's a
all right, so other than that, your kids, what else is going on? How is dating?
I am currently not dating.
Still? Okay.
I was on a dating website, and I got off because they're just crazies out there.
Okay, define crazies.
You know, a decent looking guy, has a decent job, seems okay, and then just off the wall comments about just some of them could be sexual comments, some of them could be, and then one the other night I was just like that. I'm done. I'm getting off this website. And I don't really go anywhere. Of course, I would love to date. I would love to find someone that I got along with, that I could introduce to my kids. I would love that. But it's gotten to the point I don't even know if I want to put in the work. Like, I want him to find me. And I know that's...
I was going to say, is that a realistic
no.
thought?
No. I don't think in this day and age, no. You know, this day and age, you don't have people, you know, like, hey, I got a friend I want to introduce you to. You know, it's just, you don't have that. So realistically, no. I don't really put myself out there. You know, I'm not going to bars and, you know, looking for anyone. You know, if I go out with my friends, I'm out with my friends, having a good time. So, I mean, it kind of sucks, but at the same time, you know, you have those moments where you're like, oh God, I'm glad I'm single.
So in the whole grand scheme of relationships or non-relationships, do you feel like you're missing something?
Yeah, I miss companionship with someone other than your female friends or your kids. Like, that's a different kind of companionship, you know. And not that my friends don't support me, not that my kids don't support me. It's just a different kind of support. It's a different kind of companionship. So yeah, I miss it, you know. Yeah, you definitely miss it.
And how long have you been single now?
Well, I mean, I've had some short-term relationships, but I've been divorced for 5 years now.
Okay. How do you feel about that?
About my divorce? Or about
let's start with being single for 5 years. Did you think that you would be single for that long? Did you feel that you would be in a relationship by now?
Okay, so here we go. So when I first separated, I immediately started dating. And I just basically dated I enjoyed the attention. I enjoyed it was distracting me from my divorce. If I'm going to keep it real. It was distracting me from my divorce. But anyone that, at that time, you know, anyone that's like, oh, well, you know, we've been dating 3 months, can I meet your kids? I'm like, whoa, because I wasn't looking at it like that. Like, ugh, no. It was just a distraction for me. I was having fun. And I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I mean, I was with my ex for a long time, so I wasn't ready. You know, at that point, I didn't even think I really knew. When I think about being in a relationship, a long-term relationship, what exactly I wanted, you know, so I wasn't ready. And then, you know, you stop having fun, you stop and you go, you know, let me get my shit together. And then I actually started, you know, like, okay, now, you know, I've had time to heal, have my fun, so let me now get serious about it. And then I feel like any time that I just haven't found someone that we're on the same page. Anyone that I feel like, okay, maybe they got shit with them, and you know. So,
do you feel in the beginning when you did start dating again, once you and your ex-spouse separated, do you feel those men's however many they were, do you feel that it was a smart choice to begin dating so soon?
You know, that's hard to say. For me, I feel like it helped me, and not even just the attention. You know, anybody given attention feels good. But it wasn't even that for me. For me, it was an eye-opener. Like, wow, I settled. I put up with stuff for a long time. I missed out on a lot of stuff. And some of the men, like, really showed me how a man's supposed to treat a woman. And I mean little things, not even the attention, but I mean just little things. And I thought, so I would say no, because it was an eye-opener for me. It was an eye-opener for me, and I felt like I settled for years on what I needed in a relationship and what I deserved in a relationship. You know, I got very content and thought, well, you know, we've been together a while, this is the way it's supposed to be. And then, you know, I realized that, you know, there are men out there that are willing to treat you the way you should be treated. And, you know, it's not a chore. It's not, you don't have to ask, you know. So I personally don't think so. I definitely think it was an eye-opener for me. I definitely knew boundaries. I learned really quick, know what I'm not going to put up with. So I could have dated and, you know, maybe I saw someone for 3 months and things were okay. And I feel like I could have stayed and, you know, I did date some people, like 3 guys for a couple months, maybe 3 to 6 months. You know, I don't know, there's never, no doubt in my mind they would have ever cheated on me. No doubt in my mind they would have ever been disrespectful. No doubt in my mind they would do anything for me. But something was missing for me. I could have stayed in those relationships to say I'm in a relationship and say, well, maybe. I don't want to do that. I've learned that I don't want to be in a well, maybe relationship. Do you know what I mean when I say that? Like, I'm just not going to be in a relationship just to say, hey, I'm in a relationship. So I think that, you know, I think that being able to do that, I felt like I came a long way. Because I do feel like I stayed in my marriage where in here, I knew I should have left a long time ago.
Okay. So when you were having your fun, getting back into the whole dating scene, do you think, or had you ever considered that maybe you were doing a disservice to the guys that you were dating? Meaning, did they know that it was
just for fun?
Just for fun.
Okay. One did, yes. And then the rest, I don't necessarily think if I should say they were for fun. You know, anyone I went on a date with, I said, listen, I'm not just looking for any old relationship. Like, I'm looking for a connection on different levels. I'm looking for a click. You know, and I'm never going to lead you on. So I was always upfront and honest. You know, like, I just don't feel the same way or whatever. One guy, yeah, we knew. We're just having fun. That was it. And so, no, I don't think so. I think I was very upfront, very honest. And I told them all along, like, if I'm ever starting to see red flags, I call them red flags, and it doesn't have to be anything negative on their part, but just, for example, like, one guy was great, looked good on paper, but when we weren't around each other, I wasn't like, oh, I can't wait to see him. You know what I mean? And you're talking 2-3 months seeing someone, you should still feel like that.
Right.
So I'm not going to lead him on. And I said, like, you're a great guy. It's just not there for me. And I hated doing it. Oh, my God, it's such a horrible feeling. It is an absolute horrible feeling because you don't, you know what I mean? I don't know, you as a woman, I know what that feels like. It's not a good feeling, but at the same time, I want someone, to be honest with me, I might not like always what they say. I might hang on to it for a little bit and want to question it, but I was always up front. So, do I think that I hurt a couple guys? Yeah. I know I did one for sure, but I can't, I'm always going to be me. I can't change who I am.
Right.
So I feel like you know, I've been on dates where it's not the best date. You know, I'm carrying on the whole conversation, and they just think, oh my God, this is great. And in my head, I'm thinking, oh my God. Like, I just want to go over there and stick my hand up his ass and make him talk. Like, that's, you know what I mean? Those kind of dates. And it's not going that way for me. But I'm still going to be me. I'm still going to talk. I'm still going to, you know. So, it's not a good feeling. I know that one guy was a little hurt, you know. But again, I'm not gonna lead you on, and I'm not gonna wait. You know, I had some friends that said, "Well, you know, he's such a great guy. Like, maybe it'll come. Maybe that feeling will come." And I said, "But in the meantime, if it doesn't come, we're 8 months into it. What am I doing to him? Right. You know what I mean? It's just gonna get worse. So I'd rather just cut it off right then and there. Right. You know." Right. And on the flip side, maybe it's when I find someone, I think, oh, we're going to click and this and that. Maybe they don't feel it, and that's what they do. Because I feel like any guy that I've actually clicked with, you know, it just kind of dwindles off, you know. Right. So, yeah, dating sucks at my age.
Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, it's all good. I mean, so now I'm at a point, like, the last date I went on was probably 2 months ago. Okay. Well, what month are we in? July? Maybe April? I don't know. Well, it was a couple months ago. Again, nice guy. Wasn't that attractive, but looks aren't everything to me. But I have to be attracted to something about you. Does that make any sense? Yes. Okay, because some guys don't get that. And he thought the date went great, and I thought, oh my God, no. So then after that, I'm like, I'm just done. I'm over it. Like, I don't even want to go on dates anymore. So it would really have to be, I'm not going to put any work. It would really have to be at a point now where I'm in Lowe's, someone, you know, and there's an interest in both parties, and then, you know, then it goes from there. But shit doesn't happen like that nowadays. Right. You know, so then it's like I feel like it's a vicious cycle with me. So I get tired of dating. I'm like, I'm done. I'm getting off the websites. I'm over it. He's going to find me. And then I'm like, but maybe the one's out there. So let me sign back on. I mean, I've done that probably the last 3 years, you know? But it's tiring, and I'm exhausted, and I think this time I'm done, because the last guy that commented whatever night it was this past weekend, and I said, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I just can't. Like, this was so off the wall. Like, dude, this is a dating website. This isn't Ashley Madison. This is a dating website. Like, it was that bad. Wow. So yeah, I just think I'm over it. I'm done.
So if the online approach isn't working, and from my understanding, guys do approach you sometimes, but they're not really your type, or you're not really into them.
No, guys do not approach me. In the 5 years I've been single, I've had 3 guys approach me. It just doesn't happen like that.
So have you ever considered flipping it, and although it's not traditional,
approaching a guy?
Right. Because the other approaches haven't worked.
You know, I haven't. Because a friend told me one time, men are natural hunters. So that sticks in my head. I mean, I've been out and I've made eye contact with someone. I feel like, okay, maybe they've made eye contact with me, but it doesn't get any further than that.
Sadie! Sadie! We are not freaking starting over.
Isn't that creepy? That's the creepiest thing ever.
Doc,
Hi, son.
Doc, we're just taking 5 minutes because we've been interrupted.
5 minutes. CJ?
No, Mitchell.
Mitchell, okay, you have to go
outside.
I'm doing something right now, or just
Sorry,
give us.
I heard you pull up though.
Don't leave, okay? Do you have a motorcycle?
I bought a moped.
Yeah, didn't you hear him pull up?
I'm gonna kill you. Hi, Mitchell. Air hugs. I haven't seen you in so long. Okay, just give us a minute. Sorry. 30 minutes.
Seriously?
16.
Did you set it right? Continue.
All right.
So yeah, approaching men out in public. Is that something that you would do? Not do?
I don't think so. I mean, what would I say? Like, hey. I mean, I don't even.
Hey, I just couldn't help but notice you.
Hey, can I
Do
get
you
them
have a
digits?
girl? Yeah.
No, I can't even. I have no game. I'm like a goofball. Like, I just look at myself. I'm just a big goofball. Like, guys like, oh, you're so pretty. I'm like, no, I am a goofball. Like, what would I... Like, hey, I was sitting at the bar, and I just couldn't help but notice you. Like, ew. I snorted. No.
No, absolutely
I don't know. I don't know what I would say. And up here goes so fast that it would probably come out completely wrong, and he'd be like, "Did you tell him it's friendly? Did you see that freak come up to me and just blurt out nonsense?" Like, I have no game.
You really think it would go that bad?
I do. I don't. I'm like, I'd have to like script it.
I almost feel like that should be your homework this week.
It's to just go out to random. Where should I
Yeah,
go?
just
Bar.
random people. Maybe not a bar, but somewhere you
I'm
feel
just gonna go to
comfortable.
Walmart and just sit on a bench and watch guys come by.
That's a little creepy.
Do you need someone to help you pick out your bananas? Like, what would I do? Like, see, that's where my mind goes. I'm so goofy. Like,
That's funny. All right, we'll brainstorm and come back to that. That's
I
funny.
just want someone to go, you know what, Michelle? I know this guy. He's got a great personality. I think you guys should go out. That doesn't happen nowadays.
Have you expressed that to any of your friends?
Yes.
Oh, have you?
Yes.
They just don't have any quality
No.
friends?
No.
You might need new friends. Play.
Maybe. And don't get me wrong. I don't feel like I'm desperate for a relationship.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I would like one.
Right.
I mean, that desire is definitely there.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely there.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't feel desperate. I ask my friends, like, am I hard up for a relationship? You know, and most of them say no. I mean, all of them say no, but
I hope so.
all of them say no. But then you do question that, like, you know, God, you know, you keep getting on these websites. Are you desperate? Like, I question that. Like, are you desperate? But then I feel like no, because, like I said, I could have stayed with any dude I dated just to be in one. But I'm looking for my last love, honestly, my best friend, and I tell people that. I know it sounds cliche. I'm not looking for perfect. I'm looking for perfect for me because I'm far from perfect, you know. But yeah, I'm looking for my last love.
Why is everybody fucking up today? Dog, get your life together.
Sadie,
She wants some water.
she wants food, I think.
That's the water bowl she said. And continue. Okay, so you mentioned, I have 2 minutes left.
I was backwards.
So you continue. So you had mentioned that you felt that you had settled in your marriage while you were married. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
I mean, we met, we were young. You know how it is to be young and infatuated with someone. And in the beginning, it just feels so good. And when you're 20 years old and you meet someone and they're handsome and, you know, they've got, you know, a lot going for them, you don't think about 30 years down the road. You don't think about 12 years down the road. And I didn't do that, and I'm sure he didn't either. And I got pregnant, we got married, and in the beginning, everything's good. I tell people, I call that the honeymoon phase. So when you first meet someone, you're just focused on them. Everything else in your life, bills, responsibility, whatever, work, is just off into the blur. That honeymoon phase fades. And when all that stuff starts to come into focus, and you and that person still vibe the way you did in the beginning, to me, that's real shit. Me and my ex were not on the same page, you know. I wanted to get married. I loved him. Don't get me wrong. I loved him dearly. I wanted to get married. I wanted the family. We did family shit together. You know, you envision, you know, you giving the kids a bath and, you know, he's fixing dinner, or, you know, you fix dinner and he cleans up, you know, just teamwork and all that. And we didn't have that. We had trust. There were trust issues. A lot of fighting. You know, I'm just as much at fault for our divorce as he am. I don't put all the blame on him. But, you know, he wanted the picture of that life, but he didn't want to live it, if that makes any sense to you. You know, it was a struggle for everyday things as far as what you need as a woman from your husband. It was a struggle. You know, you have to ask someone, hey, you want to come sit over here with me? It gets old, you know? It gets old. You get tired of it. You get disgruntled, if that makes any sense. And then vice versa. A man wants to hear that he's doing this and doing that. Well, I got to the point I didn't want to. I don't give a shit about your job. I don't give a shit about the gym. You know what I mean? Like, so, you know, it just got to that point. There was infidelity, which I struggled with. And
Sorry to interrupt again.
I thought...
Just heading out.
Are you coming back? Come back in 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
Just go sit in my room with the light on.
I was just riding around.
All right, come back.
I'll come back some other day.
All right.
Be
Just wanted to say
safe.
hi.
All right, love you.
Best
Be
wishes.
safe.
Best love.
All right.
Peace. One love. Peace. One love.
I love my son's friends. I really do. I haven't seen Mitch in like a year. So there was infidelity. The first time I thought I forgave him. I don't necessarily know if I do. To grasp what forgiveness is for me, I struggle with. So I didn't leave him. I thought we could work through it. It's hard if both parties do not. If you have ever cheated on someone and if you think you're giving 100%, you need to give 120%. In and out of counseling. And then it happened again, and I just said, you know what, I'm done. I'm done. I was devastated, hurt, because we had ups and downs. It wasn't all bad.
Right.
He wasn't a bad guy. And when I say that, people say, oh, how can you say that? He cheated on you twice. He's not a bad guy. You know, people make mistakes. He's just not right for me. You know, I'm just not right for him. But like I said, we had ups and downs. When it was good, it was really good. When it was bad, it was really bad. But it was a wake-up call for me. Like, and it was a wake-up call for me because at that point I knew that regardless of what I did in my marriage that he did not like, he wasn't a communicator. At that point I knew it doesn't matter. I don't deserve this. I told you after the first time you did it, if you're ever unhappy or you're ever leave, I can forgive you. I'll be so much better off if you just leave than to cheat on me again. And he cheated on me again, and I was absolutely, my world was flipped upside down. Like even after he cheated the first time, I never in a million years thought at 41, after being with this man for 21 years, that I would be going through a divorce. I never thought that. So my whole life was flipped upside down, and I was devastated. But I knew that I deserved better, and I'm not going to give him another chance. It's not worth my sanity. It's not worth my kid's sanity. It's not worth his sanity. You know? So I said, I'm done. I'm filing for divorce.
So you acknowledged that marrying him probably wasn't the best decision?
You know, I can't answer that because at the time I loved him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, I loved him, but I did love him. But I'm older now. You're talking 25 years now. I know that our relationship started out wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and now at 46, would I start a relationship with someone the way I started with him? Hell no.
Mm-hmm.
Hell no. But like I said, I was young, dumb, in love. I'm sure he was too. So I wouldn't necessarily say that I don't think we should have got married. I mean, I think, you know, we had a good run at it. I mean, 18 years, I mean, whether, you know, and half of that could have been, if I had to break it down, I'd probably say, I don't want to say half of it was, you know, if I balled it all up, what's good, what's bad. I don't want to say half, but a decent amount was bad, you know, but you always, throughout the marriage, I always tried to weigh out the good, you know. I know this happened, but, and then, I don't know, you just realize, you know, by this time I had a daughter, you know, I had a young man, and I said, you know what, not just for me, but my kids, you know, I don't want my kids to think this is okay. And like I said, I'm just as much to blame. You know, there was a lot my kids saw, a lot my kids heard that they shouldn't have. And I take full responsibility for that, and I tell them, there's nothing I can do about it. I can't explain to you how it felt to me when your dad did that to me, but it doesn't matter. I should have never, my reactions to my ex's actions were horrible. You know, I was angry, I was hurt, and I lashed out at him, and so my actions were totally, you know, and I wanted to justify them. You know, now I know that, you know what, my reactions to his actions, they're not justifiable. But at the time, they were to me, you know, they really were. Because I was hurting so bad at the time, I wanted him to hurt, you know. But I also didn't want to go out and, excuse my language, screw someone to say, ha-ha, you know what I mean? So I did it in other ways. I did it with my mouth, and I did it with my, I would say rage. It was, I had rage in me at the time, like, so, but, you know, now I look at it like, you know, it was just a learning lesson. You know, I think that I'm in a much better space. I think he's in a much better space. I feel like my kids are in a much better space. They see us. We're decent to each other. We can get along. It's taken us a long time to get there because it was a nasty divorce. You know, he didn't want me dipping in his pockets, and, you know, I didn't want, when we were going through divorce, I didn't want him to be with her. I didn't give a shit who he was with. I didn't want him to be with her. You know, so it was ugly. You know, we still lived together. It was very ugly, very, very ugly. But we're definitely, I think everyone's in a better place. Yeah, so I definitely don't. I even think that if someone asked him if he regretted it, he would say no. I really believe that in my heart. He's never said that. He's never apologized, anything. You know, I went over one time when I first left. I don't even think our divorce was final because we still lived together while we were divorced. No, our divorce, we lived together while we were going to divorce. But I went over there. I had a couple drinks with my girls, and I just wanted, I felt like I need closure. I need closure. Like, what the hell did I do to deserve this? I went over there. Every time I said, you know, I told you 8 years ago this. And I said, I don't care what I did. Like, you don't do this to someone you love. And he kept saying, I know I could have did things different, but we argued. And finally, I was so fed up. I was bawling. I said, I'm not crying. I'm not here because I want you back. I'm not here. I need closure. I just got sick of it, and I stood up and said, you know what? I'm done. My closure is knowing I will never get closure from you. Meanwhile, I owned everything I did. And it was like, I'd go to marriage counseling and lay all my cards on the table. Like, yep, I threw the laptop at him. Yep, I did this, because I wanted help. And he didn't. So after that, I think that was my eye-opener. Even though I thought the cheating was the eye-opener, I really think that was it, So even after all that, I don't think that he would say we shouldn't have got married, or it was, I just think that it's a learning lesson. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I just don't think that. Would I marry him now? At my age, no. But at 20, you don't know what the hell you want at 20.
Right.
You don't. You think. And at 20, when you're in love, not saying people in their 20s can't fall in love. It happens. But at that time, you don't think about, well, what about this? Or what about, you just don't think about stuff like that. So, I just say it is what it is.
Here's the thoughts that just popped in my mind. And maybe you'll be able to see the correlation, maybe not. Thinking back last week to the session, you had mentioned briefly about the relationship with your mother and just like her relationships with her friends, guy friends, or whatever, and maybe some poor choices that she had made and how they affected you and your siblings. And then looking at your relationship with your ex-husband and how perhaps maybe you guys started your relationship out maybe just on the wrong path. Do you think that could possibly affect specifically your daughter's choices on?
Absolutely 100%. Absolutely 100%.
So are you concerned with that? Are you doing
Absolutely.
things? Are you doing things to, I guess, maybe educate her on how to make a better, healthier choice for a potential spouse in the future?
Absolutely. That's why we have those conversations. That's why. And I always try to say, like, I always try to say, not that your dad was a bad guy. Like, I don't want her to, you know what I mean? I feel like my kids formed their opinion about their dad, and they did, and it hurt me just because that's still their father. But I do, and I try to tell her, like, there are certain standards that you have to set as a woman in a relationship that, you know what, I'm not going to stand for A, B, C, or D. Whatever they are for you, you have to set them. I mean, I can't decide for her what those are, but I let her know what mine are, And do I think, you go back to my mom, do I think that things that happened to my mom, and whether it be my stepdad, I wasn't old enough to remember her and my father, but my stepdad helped raise me. I look back in their relationship and their dynamics, and do I think that it trickled down to me? Absolutely 100%. My mom had a horrible temper. If my stepdad, was an hour late and didn't call, like it was a full-fledged argument, I heard it. I can remember her waking me up in the middle of the night, like, we're leaving. I'm like, what? It's our house too? Make him leave. You know what I mean? So, and then it trickled down, and I did the same thing. Like I said, I've learned my reactions to his actions made me just as bad of a person at that time and that moment. And I know that I hurt my ex in ways different than he hurt me, but I know I did because of my reactions. I never had that self-control to just walk away or leave the conversation alone, or I learned how to be better with it. I had a counselor tell me one time, if you go to him with a concern and, I'd say he doesn't answer. He doesn't say shit. So I'm like, okay, he doesn't give a fuck. And I just, and she said, this is what you do. You say, God, because I used to tell him, like, you have like 30 minutes. I'm going to give you 30 minutes. You got to say something. And she said, so you walk away and then you say, I know you don't want to talk about it tonight, we'll revisit in a couple days. So I learned that through counseling that sometimes it's better to walk away, let things simmer, and then revisit. Whether or not you'll get success from doing that, it depends on the two involved.
Right.
But I definitely 100% feel like, and I don't want to put the blame on my mom and how she did things, because I do feel like I'm an adult now. I can choose from right or wrong, but I do believe it had a part. I do believe that it was learned behavior. I'm not making excuses for it because I own everything I did, but it definitely 100%. And that's why I said I felt like this time I just wanted my kids. I can't have my kids do this. I can't have my kids, see this. And I think we both knew. We both knew at the time, So it was definitely the right decision for everyone involved.
All right, so wrapping up today, what would Michelle say to Michelle 5 years ago?
Wow. 5 years ago wasn't a really good time in my life. I would tell her that you're going to make me cry again because it took me a long time to get here. But I would tell her that she's stronger than she thinks she is, that she can get through anything, and that she doesn't need a man. And that if you are with someone, you need to keep that individuality. I think so many people in relationships, you lose that, because I lost that in my marriage. And I'm crying because I know that I've come so far. But I relied on him for everything. I relied on him for confidence. I relied on him for finances. Just everything. I was so dependent on him. So I would definitely tell her, you know what, you can do this. You're stronger than you think you are. Stronger than you think you are. And in times when I do come across obstacles and whatever, with the house and the kids, and we get through it, I always have that moment. And I say, you got this. I really do. It might be a 30-second moment, but I do. So that's definitely what I would tell her. That's definitely what I try to tell my daughter. I try to tell my son. I just try to tell him, don't ever doubt what you can do, And it doesn't matter how many times you fall. What really matters is how many times you get up. And you just keep getting up, So that's definitely what I would tell Michelle from 5 years ago. Because 5 years ago, I didn't think I could. I didn't think that I would be where I am today 5 years ago. So I'm proud of where I am in my life. And I know, I let frivolous things get the best of me. That's just part of my personality. But I'm definitely proud of where I am. Because I've been, at some pretty low points in my life. So I'm definitely proud of myself.
One more question.
Okay.
What would Michelle today tell Michelle 5 years from now?
5 years from now. Oh. 5 years from now, I don't like to think that far ahead. I mean, I try to stay within reason. I had a girlfriend tell me, and I struggle with it because, I have anxiety and I'm OCD, and so I do struggle with it. But my everyday life, I try to just live like I really can't worry about 5 years from now because I might not be here. I had a friend tell me one time when I was actually going through my divorce, Michelle, 15 minutes a day. That's all you can worry about is 15 minutes from now. That's it. So I do try to sink that in, but you know, I have another friend that I say, you know, and I do think that even through all my chaos and my OCD and my anxiety, I do think that a lot of my friends would say this about me. I want to live the life where if I'm gone tomorrow, people aren't at my funeral going, you know, she was so stressed out, you know, she was always mad or depressed. I honestly feel like everyone in my circle will go, you know what? Michelle always tried to have a smile on her face. She always tried to make a joke and make light of things. She always, you know, and I honestly feel like that's what people would remember about me. And that's how I try to live my life. So 5 years down the road, I hope I'm living my best life. I mean, I really do. I hope that regardless of what's going on, I'm still enjoying life. Because even though I do have stuff, 90% of the time, I'm enjoying my life. And I'm trying to live my best life. So 5 years from down the road, hopefully I'm in Mexico with a group of friends, just living my best life.
All right. Good. Yay, cut.